We're in mid-February here, 2017. It's about 1 year since I first built this structure, a cattle panel greenhouse, technically a high tunnel. I'm going to make a link to my first video where I talked about making this. Now that we're a year later, I thought it would be nice to talk about how it's working, what our plans are, and kind of document the process of how we're going to use it this spring. Before I go in, you can see it is not spring yet. It's snowing, it's freezing, it's like transitioning between rain and snow. Still definitely winter outside. And inside this $150 structure, it is getting ready to be seed starting season on the southern side, and it's getting ready to be waking up and providing us fresh green season on the north side. Pretty exciting. I'm very pleased with this structure overall. It's been a nice thing to come out when it's 25 degrees and snowing and it's gross out, and put on a pair of gloves and actually get into thawed soil. I've had this thing running all year, and it's kind of wacky stats as far as the humidity goes. 16% up to 91. I think when you go below freezing, the relative humidity drops real fast, and then above freezing it's very, very high humidity. But 36 degrees was a high of 51 yesterday, a low of 28, so not that cold. And so I'm trying to think, we're in mid-February, it's time to start really thinking about starting onions from seed, starting some kale, spinach, cilantro, lettuce, different things that we're going to want to have at a good size to be ready to set out to the garden. So the thought is, this is before we're even really getting up to speed with it, this is a very, very simply built cold frame in a high tunnel. And from what I understand of it, the high tunnel will give us a zone warmer. The cold frame will give us a zone warmer. We're zone 5B. This should put us closer to zone 7 or so. Maybe Tennessee-ish, a little north of that. And this is a double pane insulated window I found on the side of the road. Certainly could put hinges on it and make it nicer, but my plan, I've got 4 of these windows, and I'm going to build 4 of these simple boxes. I worked out all the dead material that was in there. That'll all go to the chickens, and I'm going to get this very hydrated and keep this glass on it, probably get a temperature probe in there, and see if we can't keep that above freezing and not too hot when the sun is out. I've got to figure out making sure there's a little prop and a vent so the heat can leave during the heat of the day. The structure itself, if you look at some of our older videos, I go into more detail, but it takes care of itself in this time of year insofar as not being able to overheat. As soon as we start getting, 60, 70, 80 Fahrenheit in here, this arm starts to act, and it allows cool air, or hot air out and cool air to circulate through. But this little cold frame over there will need some management from us. So the plan is within a week to hopefully have that in a position where it's like, okay, that makes sense, it's ready to go, it doesn't seem to get too hot, or it's not too big a deal to prop it open, and get our onions, kale, lettuce, spinach, things along that line started, and I'll certainly document that process. In the meantime, in about a week, I would expect us to be able to come in here and start really harvesting some fresh greens. We've got cilantro that's overwintered beautifully. Stinging nettles, some people would be like, what the heck are you doing with that? Incredibly nutrient-dense food for us. We love harvesting it in March and April outdoors, and in the greenhouse for now, we can keep cutting it back and get really nutrient-dense food out of this space. And just a little carpet of cilantro. I transplanted in some spinach from the southern bed with some space so they can get bigger. Here's some arugula that coasted right through the winter. Not the worst thing in the world to eat on a snowy day in February. Then a real nice surprise. I'm crossing my fingers, as long as we don't get into very, very cold outdoor temperatures. I've got a whole block of rosemary in here that so far, boy, they look like they're just coasting through this winter. So I'm going to be able to get cuttings from them to root and be able to expand our outdoor rosemary production and be able to have rosemary growing in this greenhouse. And it's designed that they're on the northernmost part of the greenhouse, so hopefully they continue to fill out, and we just have a solid wall of rosemary, not taking up any light from anybody else in here. So far so good. Really pleased with what's going on in here. We've got our little 55-gallon drum with holes cut in the bottom that groundwater can push into, so I can water without having to go outside in the winter. And as I need more space, I'll pull more of these plants. Maybe the ground will thaw a little bit outside and I can dig up some of these kale, and instead of throwing them to the chickens, actually plant them out with their stems fully buried so that we can let them grow and bolt and collect seed. That'd be pretty fun. But we'll see. So again, this is a structure that cost about $150, has dealt with every snow load that's been on it without any blip on the radar, and is getting ready to be able to start thousands and thousands of seedlings for us. Very worthwhile. Very pleased with it. Really encourage you to think about building something like this if you have $150 and don't want to have to use lights to start all your seedlings. So that's my one little video for now. We'll do an update as we get seeds going and document that process and see how it works. Thanks for watching.